Hey guys, welcome to SST Guru, and this is the second part of the resources and development, which is the first chapter of your Geography Class 10 textbook. So let's get started. Now, land resources, land degradation, land conservation, soil erosion, and soil conservation. These are the topics which I'm going to deal with in this presentation. So, first of all, land resources. We need to know why we need land. Okay, because we need land because it supports natural vegetation. Natural vegetation means it supports plant life in the sense you can grow crops in it, and also you can have forests in it. And naturally, if you have forest, you can also have wildlife, and depending on these both, we have our human life. Humans are dependent upon land to an extreme extent. Okay, so human life is also dependent upon the land resources, and we have economic activities that are based on the land resources. Take for example mining is completely dependent upon land. Okay, and the transport using land resources is very important, because only in this land transport you can have the last mile connectivity. So last mile connectivity is a very catchy word which every teacher would like to have, like to see in your paper. So last mile connectivity means exactly that you can just come and hop off in front of your house. Imagine if you're going by a ship or a plane, you just cannot do that. You need road at last. So the transport and land resources offers you last mile connectivity. And also we have communication systems in the sense you have lines of broadband and your phone line running through the land, and also even electricity pillars are erected in the land only. So you have communication systems which are dependent upon land. So land is of utmost importance to us, and you just cannot live without land. And why do we need this land? Why is it so important? Is because of just this one reason: it is limited. You do not have unlimited access to land. The land is limited. The earth is a mixture. Sorry, this is not looking like a round, but assume it to be a round. Okay, the earth has continents and ocean, and this continent and ocean are in a fixed proportion. It does not increase. At least in our lifetime, it does not increase or decrease. Okay, so it is of limited availability, and we need to conserve it. And how do we conserve it? Is through planning. We need to plan how we conserve our land resources. So now coming on to the relief distribution in India. Basically there are plains, mountains and plateaus in India. Plains means they are long, fertile lands which do not have a variation in their slope, or do not have a variation in their altitude, in the sense they are like this. They are flat. Okay, and you have mountains which look like this, and you have plateaus are actually raised plains. Okay, so they are actually plains, but they are in a raised platform, so they are known as the plateaus. So the plains, you can see here, the green portion in this map is completely plains. Okay, you find plains here in between the Ganges and the Yamuna, and here because of the Brahmaputra river you find the plains, and in this coastal area you find plains along the east coast of India, and little along the west coast of India and Gujarat you have plains. And apart from this, the mountains, you will very well know it. The mountains are the Himalayas majorly. So the Himalayas runs from the north to northeast, and this constitutes of about 30% of India's landmass is consisting of mountains. Not just the Himalayas, you also have some mountain ranges in the Western Ghats here, and also here in the Eastern Ghats. So this is about the mountains. And now coming on to the plateau, you have a big plateau here. This is the Deccan Plateau, and the Deccan Plateau is a raised platform of plain where you have good agriculture going on. So it constitutes of about 27%. Though you may not need to remember these numbers exactly, you may need to remember what is the distribution after all. Okay, now coming on to the use of land. How do we actually use land? So this is one of the most favorite questions of your teachers. So you have a lot of definitions coming under this. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 important features which I'm going to teach you in a matter of few minutes. So first of all, land is basically classified into forests. The land use is classified into forest. Forest means, needless to say, you have vast extent of land in which you have a highly dense population of trees, shrubs and wildlife. Okay, they are known as forest. And apart from this, we can classify land into uncultivable, uncultivated, fallow lands and net zone area. So I'll deal with uncultivable and uncultivated area in this slide, and fallow and net zone area will come in the next slide. Okay, so uncultivable land is one in which even if you try, the crop wouldn't grow. Okay, the land is so barren that you can't grow crops in it, so it is called wasteland or barren land. Okay, so this is one type of uncultivable land. The other type of uncultivable land is in which you have constructed your buildings. Okay, you have constructed your buildings, you have roads, you have malls. So naturally, because you have already cemented the land, there is no soil for the plant to access, you can't grow a crop there. So they come under the classification of uncultivable land. And now coming on to the next classification, that is uncultivated land. So uncultivated land is those which are good and you can grow crops there, but you could not, or you are not growing your crop there. Why are you not growing your crop there? Because you may not have enough money to grow your crop there. Okay, that may be a simple reason, or you do not have enough water resources to irrigate your crop. So uncultivated land is divided into three. So first of all, grazing land. Grazing land means the land in which your animals, cows, buffaloes, etc., they graze. Okay, so these lands you just leave it for grazing because you also need them for your farming. So you leave those land for grazing so that you don't need to supply them with food. So grazing lands and pastures are potential cultivable lands, but they are left uncultivated. Apart from this, you also have tree crops. Tree crops in the sense you have plantations. A plantation is the one in which a vast area is covered by a same species of trees. Take for example eucalyptus. Consider this to be trees. So you have eucalyptus trees to a vast extent of land. You can also cultivate your crops here, but you're not cultivating it. So that means that accounts to tree crops. Okay, and culturable wasteland. Culturable wasteland is just, you see, I had already told you the definition of wasteland. Culturable wasteland means the wasteland that can be developed. Okay, so it is majorly classified by another number, that is, if a land is 5 years and more, it is left idle and yet it is cultivable, then it is known as culturable wasteland. Okay, if it is left more than 5 years idle and yet you can cultivate in it, then it is known as culturable wasteland. Is that absolutely understood? Yes. Coming on to the next point, that is fallow lands. Fallow lands are also a good potential questions for you. So in this you need to know 2 or 3 things which I'll tell you now. What is a fallow land? Is basically a land which you have not cultivated for a temporary period. So here the temp, okay, for a temporary period you are not cultivating it, so it is known as a fallow land. So what is a current fallow? A current fallow is the one in which the idle time is the time in which you are not put your crop there is less than 1 agricultural year. Okay, so less than 1 agricultural year you have left it idle, then it is known as a current fallow. And what is other than current fallow is the one in which the idle time is greater than 1 agricultural year and less than 5 agricultural years. So as simple as that. So less than 1 agricultural year, it is known as current fallow. 1 to 5, it is known as other than current fallow, and greater than 5 agricultural years, it is known as culturable wasteland. So just these things, these 2 numbers, 1, 5 and more than 5. Okay, and now we're coming on to the next definition, that is net zone area. Net zone area is the area in which the total that is the total area in which the crop is sown in India. Okay, so this is known as the net sown area. And coming on to the next definition, which is the gross cropped area. Gross cropped area is the one in which it is a sum of the area sown more than once in a year plus net sown area. Okay, net sown area is currently it is being sown, and apart from that you add this is addition. Okay, it is the addition of area which is sown more than once in a year. You will be remembering what you read in your lower classes. Each period will have 6 months each, the rabi and kharif season. So some farmers, some really gifted farmers, they cultivate two crops in a year, so they sow more than once in a year. And even that area plus the net sown area which is currently being sown just once is accumulates to what is to be known as gross cropped area. Now, land use pattern is what we are going to deal with next. So, land use pattern. So, what are the factors that affect how you use the land? So, these are the factors which affect it. First of all, topography. Topography. Let me say you are going to live in a mountainous region. So living in a mountainous region, it is understood that you are not going to cultivate rice, because rice cannot grow in such a mountainous region because the temperature is going to be low. Okay, so the topography is going to affect what or how you are going to put your land into use. And next comes the climate. The climate plays very important role in the use of land. So different crops require different types of climates to grow on. For example, let me tell you the example of saffron. Saffron is also known as one of the it is known as a golden spice. Okay, it is a gold of spice. It is so costly that you just cannot afford to buy 1 kg just like that. So it requires a highly cold climate, and it grows in mountainous region like Kashmir. Okay, but with that saffron you cannot grow it in the coastal area of India because the climate will not suit you. And this is the example for climate, how it affects the crop. Now coming on to the soil types. So each type of crop suits different soils. Okay, so in an alluvial soil you can grow good amount of sugarcane, wheat and rice. Okay, sugarcane, wheat, rice. So SWR is what you can grow in alluvial soil, but in black soil the best crop which you can grow is cotton. Okay, so the soil types completely affects how you use the land. Now coming on to the next point, which is population density. Population density is thing which you can just understand by seeing your surroundings. Now imagine if you are going to be in a city and this is the area of your city, and the people are so highly concentrated here that you do not have enough land to crop. Okay, so this is an example of a city. Now we take the example of a village in which the number of people are very less. Okay, so the population density is very less. So what they have is they can have an adequate amount of land that can be put into cultivation. So this is how the population density affects the net cropped area, or how we use the land. If it is going to be a city, you are going to construct a lot of homes, houses, malls, offices, etc. But in case of a village where the population density is less, you can have more of agricultural land. And now coming on to the next point, it is the technological capability which improves how you use the land. So imagine you have in the first presentation I told you that imagine a field in which you have 10 tons of gold which is buried inside your field. So in that, if you do not have the technological capability to extract the gold, then what happens is you have gold over here, but you do not have the technological capability to mine and take your gold out. Then what happens is you just leave it like that, or you build buildings over that. So unless you have technological capability, then you cannot exploit your land use. And now coming on to culture. and tradition. Okay, in culture and tradition, an important example will be Jhum. Jhum is a type of cultivation in Northeast India. In Northeast India, what people do is they just burn down a complete forest or a part of a forest and clear that so that they get a fertile land and they cultivate on them. Okay, in the ashes of those burned down forests, they cultivate so that they can have a good fertile land. And now these are the total factors that affect the cultivation or the land use pattern. And now coming on to the forest area, the forest area which is stipulated by the Indian government is 33%. India needs to have 33% of its land under forest. So this is the target and we are yet to achieve it. We are trying our best to improve our forest area and get it done to 33%. Now, the next topic is land degradation. So, in these types of phenomena which I am going to teach you, the next will be soil erosion. We will follow this pattern. First, the definition, next the cause, and next the remedies. This is how it is given even in your book, and this is one of the best methods how to write answers to. Okay, land degradation. The definition of it would be the continuous use of land without taking measures to conserve or manage it. Okay, you are continuously exploiting your land without taking measures to conserve or manage it. So this is the definition of land degradation. So what are the causes for land degradation? First of all, deforestation. So deforestation is mass cutting down of trees, or you are just clearing of forest for your own purposes. So overgrazing. Overgrazing is a very interesting feature. You just go out to your ground today and try plucking the grass which are very small. So what happens is you just the grass has very strong root system, so it will cling on to a lot of soil, and when you just try to plug that grass out, it's going to be a very difficult task for you. Then imagine how our cows are facing the hardship when they are going to graze. So overgrazing is also problem which creates land degradation. Now coming on to mining and quarrying. Mining and quarrying is just you're ruthlessly going to dig the land out, and you're going to fix a tunnel, and you're going to take the small amount of gold over here or coal, and you're going to use it for your own purposes. So mining and quarrying will lead to complete excavation of land from this site. So all land here in this area is going to be coming out, and again you fill it after you the mine is over. So this is about mining and quarrying. Over irrigation is another cause. Over irrigation washes out all the nutrients. Our soil contains a lot of nutrients. Okay, so what happens when over irrigation occurs is the farmer pours a lot of water, more than adequate amount of water, to the field. So what happens is the nutrients are washed away and the plants are deprived of the nutrients. So this is over irrigation. Now coming on to industrial effluents. The land also has a pH. pH is the concentration of hydrogen ions in the land. So ideally, like water, the pH of land should also be around 7. Okay, but what happens is when these industrial effluents are let out into the land, what happens is this pH is altered. The soil becomes acidic, or the soil becomes basic. What happens now is that the people may face some problems in their groundwater, or also their crops may not grow because of the wrong pH. Okay, so these are the causes of land degradation, just these 5 points. And now coming on to the remedies. For remedies, first of all, we need to, it is very simple. Deforestation, matlab, you write afforestation. Afforestation, we have a different word here, we mean shelter belts. Shelter belts also sustain land degradation, and shelter belts, I'll tell you more about shelter belts in the next slide. So we need to control overgrazing, control overgrazing, mining and quarrying, control mining and quarrying activities. See, please note, I'm not telling stop mining and mining activities. Control mining activities is what I say. And now for industrial effluents, you say proper treatment and discharge of effluents. And for over irrigation, you say educate the farmer how to irrigate his land. Simple, everything is over. Now coming on to the next slide. Soil erosion. So I told you about land degradation all this time. Now coming on to soil erosion. First of all, what is soil? See, this is land, and this small layer of fine thing which you find above the land is known as soil. Okay, this is soil, and what this below is known as land. So soil erosion is a very important problem which is affecting our farmers. So soil erosion, again, we go in the same way. We have the definition here, and we will have the cause and the remedies. So definition here is denudation of soil cover and its washing down. Denudation means just affecting it, weathering of the soil, and it's washing down is just moving to some other place. The soil is weathered and it is moved to some other place. Simple. This is the definition of soil erosion. What are the causes of soil erosion? There are many causes, and many will overlap with land degradation. So we divide the causes of soil erosion into two. The first is human activities and the second is natural activities. In human activities, we find deforestation, I told you about this, overgrazing, construction, mining, and defective farming. So construction and defective farming is what is new to us from the previous slide. So in terms of construction, what happens is you construct a lot of buildings. There are absolutely no land for you to put your crop, and yet how does this affect soil erosion is like this. When you construct, you actually excavate your land for to lay your foundation. So what happens is that land contains important nutrients and all, and that is washed away. Okay, so this is what happens in construction. And in defective farming, I had already told you about over irrigation, and now we can also discuss about some other problems like improper ploughing of the land. In case a farmer is living in a slopey region and he wants to construct his crops, then he needs to adopt some good methods so that all his nutrients are not washed down by the rain. Okay, so defective farming is a major factor which causes soil erosion. Apart from the human activities, we also have natural activities which affect our soil. First of all, wind. Imagine you're standing in Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, what happens is the wind is flowing so fast. So what happens is the land, the soil which is above the land is just blowing away. The soil is shifting from one place to another. You're just not able to stand there. Imagine the situation. SST is more about imagination. When you imagine things, you remember the things better. Okay, so wind erosion occurs. The soil is transported from one place to another, from place A to place B by wind. The soil flies, literally the soil flies from place A to place B. So it is known as wind erosion. Now glacial erosion. Okay, glacier, let me tell you what is a glacier. A glacier is more or less like a river. It is a frozen river moving. Okay, it is a huge mass of ice, that is moving very slowly. So what happens when this huge mass of ice is moving very slowly in this direction is these are the banks of the river, assume it. So when you have small rocks like this in the banks of the river, the glacier, when it moves, it just crushes this rocks and whatever it finds in its way. Okay, so the ice is so heavy because it is a huge mass of ice, so the erosion is very high in terms of glacial erosion, but you just cannot notice it because it is so quiet and it's very slow. Fine. And water erosion, it is very simple. It happens in two cases. One is over irrigation, the farmer puts a lot of water, and the second is excessive rainfall. When there is excessive rainfall, there is a liability that your crop is going to be deprived of nutrients because the topsoil, which is full of nutrients, is going to be washed away. Now, we have also been told in our book about 3 specific erosion types. So these find special mention in your book. So what this means is you need to give importance to this. Gully erosion. This is the picture of gully erosion. So what happens is when rain comes, the soil is very loose, and what happens is when rain strikes the soil, it just goes deep into the soil. The water is accumulated here, and as the rain keeps on pouring, it forms a gully over here here and water flows like this. Yes, so this is known as gully erosion. Okay, so gully erosion takes place in loose soils. And now we coming on to the sheet erosion. Sheet erosion takes place in slopy regions. So consider this: you have a slope here and this is the slope profile, and you have a fine amount of sand over here. This is your soil, which is highly nutritious for your plants. Okay, so what happens is when rain comes here, the whole this mass of this sheet of soil rather, it is going to be washed away. It is just washed away and it goes to the rivers. Okay, so this is known as sheet erosion, as simple as that. Now wind erosion, I had already told you. Imagine you're standing in that desert and you see the you just literally see the sand is flying, and that is known as wind erosion. Now we have finished with what are the causes of land degradation and soil erosion. Now we come to soil conservation. So soil conservation, we have 4 methods which are being told in our book. So the first method is contour ploughing. In contour ploughing, what we do is you have a fine gradient. Okay, so what you do is in each gradient you plough so that the water does not go away completely. So you see, it is the slope is like this and you are plowing like this. You are not plowing like this. If you are going to plow like this, what happens is the water is going to be washed away, washing away all your nutrients. So you plow perpendicular to the slope. Okay, only in this situation you can conserve all your soil's nutrients. So this is about contour ploughing. And now coming to terrace farming. Terrace farming is also similar to contour ploughing, but the only difference is the gradient is very high. So how to remember terrace farming is also very simple. Imagine you are going to your terrace. When you're going to your terrace, you need to climb the steps. So you see, you have steps like this and all. So this is also known as step farming. So what is the advantage of this situation is if there is going to be any rain, then what happens is the soil's nutrients are going to be trapped in any one of these steps. Okay, so it is not going to go in vain, or it is going to be accumulated in any one of these steps. So this is about terrace farming and contour ploughing. Now we have just 2 more features which are explained in our book. It is strip cropping and shelter belts. Strip cropping deals with planting of different strips of grass and your crop. So these are grass and these are your crops. So why do you do strip cropping? Is to reduce the wind erosion. So what happens is the grass grows higher than your crops. So this is also grass. So when the wind blows from here, what happens is the resistance to the wind is first offered by the grass over here, and next there is a crop. So the crop and the soil here in the crop is not affected by the wind, and next again there can be a wind from here. So what happens is this grass offers resistance, again this grass offers resistance, this offers resistance, and likewise, and ultimately your soil is going to be protected, your crop is protected from the wind. So this is all about strip cropping. And shelter belts, as I had told earlier, I will deal, this is known as shelter belts. We have belts of crops, these are all known as belts. This difference between these two peripheries which are covered by trees, you have the belts of crops over here. And why do we plant trees here is to reduce the wind erosion. Actually these trees grow high enough so they stop the wind coming from here. So imagine a wind coming from here, it is going to be blocked by the trees, so naturally you have less wind affecting your crops and hence less wind erosion. So this is what is the measures to conserve the soil erosion. So with this guys, we come to the end of this podcast. Now I want you to do certain things so that I am encouraged. So first of all, you can share it with your friends, because why do you need to share is very simple. Not all can afford tuitions. Maybe this can help them a lot and get them good marks. And I want you to subscribe to SST Guru, because when you log into YouTube, you can get your update in your YouTube homepage itself. So you need not come to SST Guru and search whether I have uploaded a new video or not. Okay, you can also like me in Facebook, and what happens when you like me in Facebook is you get your updates in your news feed itself. You need not log in into YouTube, and I know very well that you log in into Facebook very often than your YouTube account. And now you can also comment to interact with me with your doubts and suggestions. Okay, you always need to interact with me. You need to tell me what next video I need to make. Okay, and only then will I know what is your need, and I will cater those needs. And you can also hit the like button below this video to encourage me. Okay guys, fine, so I'll be up with the part 3 of the video, which will deal with the soil types, and this is the Facebook page, that is facebook.com/sstguru. You can like my page over there. Fine guys, thank you very much for watching this video, and have a wonderful day.